your city. Gonna play our guitars and sing you a country song. We'll all be flying higher than a jetliner. And if you want a little bang in your yin-yang, come along.
Well, come on along and welcome aboard Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle, coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Thanks a lot for joining us, taking us along wherever you're going, whatever you may be doing. We appreciate you taking Indiana Sports Beat along for the ride here on this Monday. It's Amazon Day. Jake's at the wheel, keeping things on track. Appreciate you joining us on the program today. How about a name from the past? Dusty May, former manager at IU under Bob Knight. Now he's the head coach at Florida Atlantic. He'll be with us today. He was down in Alabama over the weekend watching things take place at the Adidas Gauntlet. Mike Schumann's also going to join us. We're going to get you caught up on everything that happened over the weekend between the Nike Peach Jam, the Adidas Gauntlet, even Under Armour had their deal going on as well. So a lot happening on the basketball side this weekend, and we'll get you caught up with all of it. Hey, don't forget, later this week, we're going to be live from Chicago as the Big Ten Football Media Days take place up in Chicago. That's Thursday and Friday, so make sure to be with us for that as we'll be live from Chicago. We'll see who all we're going to get on there. That's going to be just a bunch of fun interviews, hopefully. Have a lot of great people on there, but looking forward to that. Over the weekend, lots of basketball. Had some tennis. Did you watch Wimbledon, man? What an unbelievable finish to the men's championship. The first ever fifth set tiebreaker that went forever. It was the longest match in Wimbledon finals history. I was fortunate. I had kind of forgotten about it and dozed off, took a little afternoon nap and realized, hey, Wimbledon's on. Turned on just in time for the back half of that fifth set. And I'm like, man, I can't imagine sitting here for the 4 hours prior to this, watching all this. So I got perfect timing. But, man, what a finish that was between Djokovic and Federer. That was incredible. What a finish. So enjoyed the heck out of that. The NBA Summer League is coming to a close. I think today may be the championship tonight. I don't know or care who's playing in that, but Juwan Morgan's run in the Summer League has come to a close as the Jazz are done. Over the course of the couple of weeks, he averaged almost 5 points a game, almost 4 rebounds a game, shot 42% from the field. Not a bad run for him. I think it'll lead to something for him somewhere. It's not going to be in the NBA, but that was never something I expected anyway. He probably will end up best overseas. You never know. He could get a G League contract, but those pay a lot less. I mean, if you want to make the bucks, you got to go overseas, and that's probably what I think will end up being the course of action for J-Mo. Got a text into the show already. Appreciate it. Had a great time at Kentucky Speedway Saturday. Got a picture with Horsepower, track mascot. Watched the Bush brothers bang on each other for the win. Yeah, I watched that too. Another great race. Thanks, Tim, for the text. The NASCAR race down in Kentucky at Sparta. What an incredible finish. Holy, Joey Logano had a 13-second lead or something. He was gone. And caution comes out with single-digit laps to go. Brings the field back together, and right off the bat, those guys, the Bush brothers, ended up in the lead, and they're beating and banging for the entire last lap. They were just battling, and that was fun. I got to tell you, that was fun to watch. Kurt Busch ends up with the win there, getting him into the NASCAR playoffs. Playoffs. But man, that was fun. That was fun to watch. If you like NASCAR, I do. I enjoy it. I mean, I enjoy when they're kind of banging on each other a little bit, and they were getting loose. It was crazy. You got to remember, they're doing that at 190 miles an hour. Cars getting loose. That was fun. Fun to watch. RJ Davis from Stepinac, New York, had a great run down in down south. He is a potential visit to IU, expected to visit IU. So we'll look forward to see if that happens. But we'll talk with Mike Schumann about that later on today. How about the California Angels or the Los Angeles Angels? I forget what they go by. The Angels, they get a no-hitter. Everybody's wearing Tyler Skaggs jerseys. That's the young man that passed away recently for them. How about that? That's just something, man. I saw someone post a great statement that the best reality TV has been, always been, and is sports. It's true. You can't script it, and the stuff that happens through sports, just crazy. It's like when Dale Earnhardt passed away several years ago. I believe the next race, Dale Earnhardt wins. Dale Earnhardt Jr., rather. Or the next time they were back at Daytona. So, yeah, the best reality TV has been and always sports. Because you've got everybody getting involved. You got Steve Kerr now tweeting at the president about stuff. I don't get that. I'm like, you know what? Stay in your lane, bro. Man, people need to stay in their lane. You got Rapinoe doing her deal and all that. So whatevs. Coach K says Zion should not have played Summer League. He was too out of shape. Well, that ain't no lie there. He was fat and out of shape. Should he have gotten out of shape or should he kept his butt in shape? Been doing a lot of award circuit things, the ESPYs, all that business. He's been enjoying too much In-N-Out burger. Ryan Leaf, remember him? Out of Washington State, quarterback, was going to be the Wonder Boy, number 2 pick in the draft. And then things kind of went sideways for him. Spent a couple years in prison. He's been working on getting life back to where it was. He just hired by ESPN to do college football. So there's that. That ought to be interesting. We'll see how that works out. He'll be doing mostly ESPN2 and ESPNU games, which means that's not the top end, but you got to start somewhere, right? Tim texts in, I saw where 2 IU football players made the Bruce Feldman's freak list, Marcelino Ball and Simon Stepanak out of 50 players. Yeah, that's pretty good. 2 out of 50, that's pretty good. But, yeah, I saw that as well. He ain't lying. Marcelino Ball is he's something. And Stepanak, man, we're going to get to talk about IU football this week. We'll do a lot of that Thursday and Friday, obviously. We will be in Chicago for the Big Ten football media days. We should hopefully have Coach Allen on, and no telling what we're going to be able to get done up there, but look forward to that. But lots of football at the end of the week. Like I said, we'll be in Chicago for the Big Ten football media days. We'll be live from there. Looking forward to that. We're getting closer to football. We're like 5 weeks away now. 6 weeks still. 6 weeks. August 31st, the Hoosiers kick off the season in Indianapolis' Lucas Oil Stadium against the Ball State Cardinals. A little in-state tussle. I'm telling you, there is a lot of reason to be excited this year. And I know people who say, oh, they say that every year, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, maybe. But I think this year's legit. I'm not saying they're going to win the Rose Bowl, but they got a good. They just. I'm picking 7 games. I think they win 7 games minimum. What happens if they go nuts? They're gonna knock off 2 teams that you're not expecting them to beat. They got to upset somebody. Beating Northwestern at home that has to happen. Some other home tough games that they will have: Michigan, Ohio State, both coming in to Memorial Stadium this year. Now, yeah, that's a tall task, but the last 2 times Michigan has been in Memorial Stadium, they left with a win, but it wasn't easy. a double overtime, and an overtime win for them. Indiana should have won both of those games, no less. They should have a 2-game winning streak at Memorial Stadium over Michigan. They don't, but can they get it done this year? I'm not sure. I haven't studied Michigan. I think Michigan's probably going to be pretty strong. We'll see. But I think Indiana's – now, they have to go on the road, and I think they need to find a road win somewhere. They have to they have to surprise us with a hard-fought road win. You got some tough places to go shopping this year, man. They got to go to Lincoln, Nebraska, take on the Cornhuskers. This may be an opportunity, though. Scott Frost, in his first season out in Lincoln, Nebraska on the climb. And that would be a very tough environment. I mean, that's one of the toughest environments in college football. I mean, I don't know what that holds out there, but it's got to be 80, 90,000. They get that for spring games. That's one of those crazy places. They're steeped in football. We'll see how it goes. Just Phil Mickelson. He knows he's trying to get ready. He's fasting. He's lost 15 pounds. That's whatever. Maybe I should try fasting, Jake. I could dang sure stand to lose 15 pounds. Wouldn't hurt. Hey, hit us up on the text line if you'd like. 812-269-6367. We got a new sponsor starting this week. If you're looking for a home wherever around the state of Indiana, especially around Bloomington, Dr. Tucker, Dr. Ryan Shaddy will have all that information up and ready to go. But Ryan Shaddy is your man with a plan if you're looking for a new home, whether it's in Bloomington or anywhere else. Ryan can give you help, but we'll have all that stuff out and ready to go this week. Just wanted to give him a mention, shout out. Look forward to it. Lots coming up on the program today. Former Hoosier. He was a manager under Bob Knight. Now he is the head coach at Florida Atlantic University. It amazes me. I know you had Lawrence Fink that did the same thing, but to go from a manager of a college basketball team to the levels these guys have done, to me, it's nothing short of resilience, incredible resilience, and want to. But Dusty is now the head coach down at Florida Atlantic. He was down in the Adidas the Adidas Gauntlet over the weekend. You saw a couple pictures. Saw one with him and Michael Lewis, Dane Fife, AJ Guyton. It was pretty cool. But also saw pictures with AJ Guyton and Damon Bailey. It was the first time they had met. See that on Twitter, but amazing. That's the first time that they had met. You know, some people realize there's a lot of guys that haven't met that didn't play the same years with each other. You would think by this time that would have happened, but not always the case. But great program today. Mike Schumann from the Daily Hoosiers with us as well. We're going to get you all caught up on everything that went on over the weekend, whether it was at the Adidas Gauntlet or the Nike Peach Jam. Also, the Under Armour was having their deal down in Atlanta, I believe. So all kinds of stuff happening, man. But stay tuned. We got lots more coming up here on Indiana Sports Beat. We're back with more right after this.
If I kill a man in the first degree, baby, would you flee with me?
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the golf club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is A.J. Moyer.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lewis, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
All across the country, people are coming together to speed up what we can learn about health. The All of Us Research Program is calling on 1 million people to join us as we try to change the future of health. For your family, for future generations, for all of us. Visit joinallofus.org and find out how you can become 1 in a million.
All right, crew, let's get her dug.
Honey, you want to give me a hand? I'm planting that tree, remember?
No matter how large or small your digging project may be, no matter how urban or rural, you must always call 811 before any digging project. 811 is our national one-call number, alerting your local utility companies to come out and mark any lines they have near your dig site. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 business days before any digging project, so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. This includes natural gas and petroleum pipelines, electric, communication cables, and water and sewer lines. So before you do this or this, make sure you do this. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811. Brought to you by Common Ground Alliance.
This is former Indiana basketball player Brian Evans, and you're listening to Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle.
Today's guest is brought to you by Reynolds Family Dentistry of Sellersburg. You need $1 million smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you'll get with Reynolds Family Dentistry. Welcome back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Indiana Sports Beat, Jim Coyle now with you, bringing one of our absolute favorites, Ken Bykoff from Pigs.com. Kenny, how are you, man?
I'm doing great. How you doing, Jim?
Good, brother. How's the season going? I saw you were on vacation not too long ago.
Yeah, I went to visit my sister in Minnesota. That was a good time up there. Took the kids fishing, and the boy pulled 13 fish out of the water, so that was great. And just took them to their first Major League Baseball game. It was really nice. So I love that whole time after, at the end of June, start of July. 4th of July is one of my favorite holidays. Really enjoy that. And then it always feels like after you get back from the 4th of July that summer's over, football's about to start, and then the grind starts. So but obviously we have a little bit of time until the start of the football season, but it is starting to where you start to turn your head toward what's to come. And, it should be, an exciting year for football, to say the least, and basketball is going to be interesting as well.
Yeah, a nice picture on the log plume, by the way. I can't forget that. I got to throw that in.
You know, I think I'm going to make for people who haven't seen this picture, which is most people, obviously. It's one of those bride pics that they take, and so we're going down a hill on a log ride, and I have my 4-year-old up front who's having the time of his life. My wife is enjoying herself. I decide I'm going to make some crazy face, make it look like I'm really screaming, and then Nick, my 8-year-old, he just looks at the camera and gives it like a smile and a thumbs up. The kid completely one-ups me, and it's the greatest ride photo I've ever seen.
Yeah, he's like, what's this dude? What's he doing, man?
Yeah, so we call him the mayor because he's just smooth with everybody.
Yeah, you talk about football. I've been talking about it. I think that there is – and I know we try to be optimistic each year, but there is truly a lot of things to be optimistic about for this IU football team, especially when you look at the offensive side. They've got a great quarterback battle that's going to unfurl that should produce a very good quarterback with a couple great ones behind them. They obviously have a great running backs room, some receivers and all that stuff. So we're looking forward to them having a new offensive coordinator. So there's no reason that they can't do a lot of things this year that can put pressure on other teams.
Well, you know, I was just talking to Mike Pegram the other day when we got a chance to talk to the freshmen about just the storylines this year are going to be absolutely amazing. I mean, you want to talk about the defense, the improvements that they've made. They've added some talent. The offense, you have again, you know, last year we were all talking about the quarterback and the fact that there were 3 quarterbacks, and there was a lot of excitement about those guys. Well, you get a year into it, and the same thing is happening. You got, Jack Tuttle coming in, and he's going to have an opportunity to battle for it. Mike Penix is in good shape, and then you have Peyton Ramsey, who's been doing it for a couple of years, and it's one of those things where I think there's better depth at just about every position on this football team than we've seen in a while. Now, that doesn't mean that everybody's going to come out. We're in Indiana's about to have a 9-10 win season. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is that in my 15 years of covering the program on a day-to-day basis, I do think there's some of the best depth that I've seen on this team.
Well, and that's something that Coach Allen has worked diligently to do, and he has successfully done it unbelievably in some instances. I have to say he's done a remarkable job, but that has been a big difference maker between Indiana and a lot of these Big Ten teams. Has simply been depth. They just got out beat by players. They didn't have the players to put in there. They're trying to work on that, change that. And not only that, I've never seen a team of any team, but especially one that has 85 scholarship players on it, that is to a man bought in to what they're trying to accomplish. And this team is definitely that.
Yeah, and that's an effort for the coaching staff. I mean, that's 100% what it is. It's these guys have been recruiting to a vision, selling a vision, and selling, what they want to do going forward. And they're getting guys who want to be a part of it. I mean, you look. We were talking to Cam Williams from God's Country up in the region the other day, and he was talking about just how he wants to be here and wants to be the best linebacker in the country and loves it because he's excited to play for the coaches and be a part of what they're doing. This is a freshman class that you always have a couple of guys who will say, hey, we're gonna turn things around. We're gonna get it to a man. Everybody seems to be on the same page with this. And when you have already some decent talent coming back from last year, because look, everybody could look at last year and say, well, they went 5-7, and that was just another IU losing football season. I've been through real IU losing football season. This was a team that was competitive pretty much week in and week out, and came one loss, going to the last game of the season with an opportunity to go to a bowl. They were able to now bring in guys who can build off of that. And instead of having one 4-star guy in their class, they have 3 or 4. And all of that slowly builds, turning this kind of thing around. It's the whole, speedboat versus battleship. This is a battleship to turn around. And I do think that they're doing a great job of selling a culture, selling a vision, recruiting to that vision, not just going with the flashiest talent that they could get. They're getting guys who might not be the upper echelon of talent, but they're buying in on what they want to accomplish. And that means something. And, it still has to translate on the field, obviously, but just having a locker room where everybody's on the same page and everybody is with the coaches, and there's not the kind of battles that we've seen in the past when it comes to just a culture. I think that that's important and certainly a positive for the program.
Yeah, and there's not just additions in player personnel. There was personnel changes, and none bigger than the advent of a new offensive coordinator, Kalen DeBoer. And I think that there's no secret that last year's Indiana offense was not exactly the most imaginative out there. And I think that there's going to be a lot of changes there that people can expect to see. I think they're going to see them doing a lot more things offensively than what they're accustomed to.
Yeah, no, there's no question about that. I think already the quarterbacks have talked about how they have more flexibility to make some changes at the line of scrimmage. And they saw that in the spring, that they're able to react to what the defense is doing. They might go a little bit slower than they have, not a lot slower, but a little bit slower, just because they'll get more of an opportunity of trying to adjust to what the defense is doing. And that, in the past, Peyton Ramsey has talked about how if you had a play called and it wasn't maybe going to work, and you didn't feel it was going to work real well, they ran the play anyway. And so now this flexibility is going to make a difference. And it's not like Indiana's offense was terrible last year. It didn't take a huge step back from the year before. I think we were surprised to see Stevie Scott have the season that he did in a run game that was expected to maybe struggle a little bit when Morgan Ellison ran into trouble prior to the season. And now going forward, everybody knows the job that Kalen DeBoer has done with at Eastern Michigan, at Fresno State, in just turning things around quickly, a little more imaginative, a little more there's just something about the guy that gets people excited, and that I think is going to be a huge difference with this team. And again, obviously he hasn't called a play for IU in anger just yet, but I do think it's certainly a little bit more of a level of excitement than what we've had with the offense the past couple of seasons.
Absolutely. Switching to basketball news, none bigger on that side than actually off the court basketball news, and the fact that Bob Knight is apparently moving back to Bloomington, which had been rumored since his appearance last year that he made at the baseball game. But the one thing that is really, I made a big point of yesterday, and I talked about it today, that I was disappointed to see the newspapers basically print his address of where he's going to be living. I know that people can find that if they really went to the trouble to do that, but I don't think 95% of people were going to do that. And now it's been made so easy, and I was a little disappointed to see that.
Well, it's a public record thing, so I understand why it's done. My take on it. Good for him, and that's it. I just to me, it's unfortunate that the past 20 years have been the way that they have, and the rancor that's been coming mostly, or the resistance, I guess, that's been coming mostly one way from him. Indiana had opened up their arms years ago, saying, "Okay, let's try to make this right." When certain people were no longer involved in the program, everything that went down, with the whole firing, look, neither side looked good in that situation. Now it's 20 years on. Indiana has made multiple opportunities to get right with them and try to kind of close some of those fissures that are there. It hasn't worked out. I think that him coming back to Bloomington is a very nice story, and I hope people leave him alone and let him just have his retirement any way that he wants, and just kind of let him be, because if he wants to show up at a game, or if he wants to do something like that, that's his business. I think it would be really great, and if he doesn't, it doesn't lessen Indiana basketball. It doesn't lessen what was accomplished, and hopefully the city of Bloomington will and the people around Bloomington will let him have his privacy, and it's a nice story, and I hope it's a couple of days story, and then he's able to go on with his life.
Oh, absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. There's no figure that still to this day casts a bigger shadow than Bob
But he
Knight does.
shouldn't. But he shouldn't, and that's what bothers me. I don't think that it casts the shadow over the basketball program inside the basketball program. The players don't care. The students here on campus. He was fired before they were born. For the vast majority of them, and I think that in terms of fans and media, older fans and media, it makes a difference. But I mean, think about it. When I was in school, it would have been the same as if Branch McCracken suddenly came back. Does it really make a big difference? And I don't think from a day-to-day standpoint, it does for this program. It just doesn't. I know outside the people outside the program, national people, not talking about you, but national people will talk about this shadow of Bob Knight. Now, I don't think that it's there. I think that that's more of a made-up thing. So much water has passed under the bridge, not just with Knight, but with Kelvin Sampson, with Tom Crean, with everything that's going on, that this is a guy that, he left the program now 1/5 of a century ago. And most people have moved on, and the people that are 25 years old now, who were 5 years old when he got fired, you didn't know what was going on in the world when you were 5 years old. It is the same reason why you have Cody Zeller and Victor Oladipo get far bigger cheers for the I'm a Hoosier thing on the scoreboard than Steve Alford does. It's because people have moved on. People aren't familiar with him. So although it's very nice that he's coming back into town, he is he a part of it? Is he a part of the story? Yes. Is he a shadow that hangs over the program? I don't think he is.
I couldn't agree with you more. It's so funny that there's such a faction of the fan base that doesn't understand that you just mentioned. These players, they're not even born. They know who he is just because he's a historical figure, but that's it. They didn't watch him coach games. They didn't watch games he was involved in. And it's such a disparity that the people that are older, they don't realize that connection is not there anymore.
No, and it's really not. And, even you could look up videos of him on YouTube, and, the kids now will be, the players who are growing up now will be like, well, why is this all blurry? It's not even in high definition. I mean, it's just something that is of the past, and it's fine for people of a certain age, myself, older, who lived through that time. But in terms of day to day, from players, from, just the way the program is perceived, all of that, I just don't think that what happened 20 years ago and things that have happened off the court since then with somebody who isn't the coach anymore, I don't think that it puts the shadow on it. It's nice to talk about. It's great that he's coming back here, but I honestly just don't think that it's something that impacts the program. And that is one thing that Indiana fans need to get over. And it took a long time for me to realize it as well. So I'm right in the boat with them. I'm an IU alum, and for a long time it was like, hey, this guy, this really needs to be fixed. There's nothing to fix now. He's been gone for 20 years. I wish him the best, and I hope he enjoys his time in Bloomington.
Yeah, and I think that a lot of people, they don't realize, even the ones that are hoping for that, it's not really Bob Knight that they're hoping to come back. They want that greatness that was a part of that, and they're not understanding that, he did his time here, but now it's moved on, and it's time for someone else to establish that same thing. But it's that greatness that they want again. I don't know, more than they want Bob Knight, I think.
Oh yeah, absolutely. They want to enjoy the wins. They want to see successful basketball, regardless of who it comes from. They dream of those glory days. There, much the same way that when Lou Watson was the head coach here, people dreamed of the glory days of Branch McCracken. So, they hoped that somebody would come over and take care of the program and take it back to that level. And Bob Knight did. And he was here for a long time. And Indiana has seen glimpses of that along the way. But there's no question that Indiana fans, they just want to see good basketball. They want to see success. They don't want to see a roller coaster of a year where you're number one and then you miss the tournament altogether the next couple of years. They just want consistency, and they want to see a good competing team year over year. That to me is the most important part.
Absolutely. What's Ken Bykoff working on that the fans can chomp their teeth into?
Oh, football preview. Going forward, and I'm also going to be working on a bigger story that I will do sometime this fall, just looking at why Indiana football historically has struggled as much as it has, because there are very definite reasons for that. Over the years, decisions that were made, some things that are in Indiana's control, some things that aren't in their control. And I'm just going to take a good deep dive that is going to choke up, if somebody is silly enough to read, a full story that I write, which always ends up being way longer than I plan it to be at the start. It's just going to be a deep dive into looking at why the program has struggled, and how Indiana basically can try to pull out of that and find consistency year over year. And it's something that consistency is actually happening and has happened over the past 5 years, where Indiana has won at least 5 games each of the past 5 years. And if I recall correctly, that hasn't happened except for maybe twice in the program's history.
Yeah, when Ken Bykoff does a story, everybody reads it, as they should, because nobody does. Seriously, nobody does them better.
My wife says nobody reads it, so who knows?
Nobody does them better. And we've talked about some of those things. You in conversations you've told me, and I'm like, wow, there's so much that people don't know, don't realize that historically that is exactly what you're talking about. That has led to this point in time. That little things, decisions here and there. I mean, Indiana used to get paid to go to Ohio State, Michigan, year in and year out. There's all kinds.
I think they played at Michigan 27 years out of a 30-year span, because a game at Michigan, the gate receipts that they would get, if Old Memorial Stadium, which held about 25,000 people, they get 4 times the revenue from playing on the road, which is great from a money standpoint, but it is not very great when it comes to just having a home field advantage and trying to build your program. So yeah, no, it's financial issues have been part of the problem over the years.
Yeah, because Indiana, they used to compete very well in the Big Ten. I mean, they went to the Rose Bowl. I know it was 68 or 9 or whatever. It was a long time ago. But they were competing then. They were up there with these Big Ten teams, and that's not the what's going on today. But there's reasons for that, and I think your story is going to flesh those out. Looking forward to that.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And I think that, again, things that go all the way back to 1910 and 1915, They the death penalty that Phil Dickens got in the early 60s. It's just time after time after time when Indiana would start to get things rolling, something would come up, and it wasn't always under their control, but it is something that it's just when people look at this and they're like, why has Indiana struggled the way that it has? There are definite answers.
My favorite saying that I stole from Ken Bykoff: "Nothing new ever happens."
Nothing new ever happens, ever.
It's great. Ken, thank you so much, man. Always love having you on, brother.
Hey, I appreciate it. Take care.
You bet. Ken Bykoff from Pigs.com. We'll be back with a lot more coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, Indiana Sports Speed. Back with more right after this. Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the Golf Club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make it tea time. That's 812-824-1100. The Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lewis, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
All across the country, people are coming together to speed up what we can learn about health. The All of Us Research Program is calling on 1 million people to join us as we try to change the future of health. For your family, for future generations, for all of us. Visit joinallofus.org and find out how you can become one in a million.
All right, crew, let's get her dug.
Honey, want to give me a hand? I'm planting that tree, remember?
No matter how large or small your digging project may be, no matter how urban or rural, you must always call 811 before any digging project. 811 is our national one-call number, alerting your local utility companies to come out and mark any lines they have near your dig site. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 business days before any digging project, so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. This includes natural gas and petroleum pipelines, electric, communication cables, and water and sewer lines. So before you do this or this, make sure you do this. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811. Brought to you by Common Ground Alliance.
Hi, this is AJ Moye, and you're listening to Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle.
He's not selling any alibis as you stare into the vacuum of his eyes and say, do you want to make a deal? How does it feel?
Oh, welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle, coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Couldn't dare interrupt that song until we got to the climax, man. Hope you had a great weekend, a lot going on. The Adidas Gauntlet happened, the Nike Peach Jam has come and gone. You know, coaches are not happy about that reduction in recruiting time. We'll get to talk to Coach Dusty May today. He's the head coach at Florida Atlantic, former Hoosier. If you don't know that name, you should. He was a manager here under Bob Knight. Looking forward to that. Mike Schumann on the program today, and also hopefully we're going to be talking with John Sauber from the Hoosier.com as well. He was down at the Adidas Gauntlet. We talked to John on Friday, I believe. Looking forward to talking to him to see what he saw, all the things that went on. Did you know today is Amazon Prime Day, by the way? Jake? It's Amazon Prime Day, man. It's like the best day of the year. It's like Christmas in July. Crazy sales on there. I was getting ready to buy some stuff a couple weeks ago, and I realized, wait a minute, Prime Day's coming. Don't do it. How much you want to bet the stuff I'm trying to get will not be on sale?
I can almost guarantee it. I've never really found anything on there that is that good. It just seems like this extra stuff they have in the warehouse that they're trying to
it's stuff you don't need, probably. It's all stuff you don't need, and you're like, that's such a good deal. Oh. Yeah, we'll sign up. Yeah, I'm sure. But the college basketball recruiting narrative is about to pivot for the class of 2020 from the AAU season to the official visit and commitment season. Now that all that stuff's over, a lot of visits going to be happening. We'll see who Indiana gets. Looking forward to talking to Mike Schumann and John Sauber both about that today. I know R.J. Davis had talked about making a visit to Indiana. You got a lot of other guys as well. DJ Stewart, he indicated he's planning to cut his list down and begin making visits. It would appear as IU is in line for a visit. We'll find out. He said, I will be cutting my list after the Peach Jam. No timetable for a decision yet. Trying to get to Indiana, Iowa State, and Notre Dame for my next visits. So there you go. That quote came out before Stewart's recruitment got significantly more competitive this weekend, and that's because Duke offered the 6'3" combo guard. New York-based R.J. Davis, as I said, spoke about making plans to come to Indiana. In the Indianapolis Star, after asked, is it a place that you're definitely going to visit, he said, we're still working some things around because of the way the July period is. I'm still working to schedule it. So far, Davis has only taken an official visit to Georgetown, visit Mr. Pat Ewing there. His recruitment has gotten decidedly more competitive, like I said. North Carolina, Kansas has also entered the mix. Boston-based forward Matt Cross confirmed to the Charlotte Observer and others that an August commitment is the current plan. Now, Matt Cross is someone Indiana has definitely been chasing. Archie Miller has made it a point to make sure that he knows that. Cross, who as a senior will play at Brewster Academy in New Hampshire, he has visited Indiana, Butler, Miami, and South Carolina. He wants to make a final decision before school starts in August. So, we talk about who's going to be that first commitment. I'm thinking it's going to be Trey Galloway, personally. Especially if it's someone from outside, that would kind of crack me up a little bit. But we'll find out. Man, I put a hole in my cord. But Ohio native Zach Loveday is planning to cut his list and start scheduling visits soon as well. He told the Louisville Courier-Journal about the process. I'm going to go forward after about 2-3 weeks, maybe narrow it down, and then start to really set dates for visits and things like that. So Zach Loveday, big 7-footer, he's not in as much of a hurry. He indicated in the same report that IU head coach Archie Miller has been in close contact, and the Hoosiers are pushing hard for an official visit. Indiana should be in good shape to make the list cut and get an official visit on that one. West Virginia-based Jalen Bridges has Indiana in mind for when he starts to take visits after AAU, and that's according to a report by Stock Risers. I don't have any scheduled, but I'll probably try to get to Miami, Indiana, back to Ohio State, and Alabama. The 6'8" Bridges indicated that he would likely cut his list down over the next month. IU just offered Bridges a couple of weeks ago, but there doesn't seem to be a clear leader in his recruitment. Current class of 2021 Boston-based Terrence Clark continues to say that a reclassification to 2020 is possible. He continues to also mention IU as a potential destination, including these comments to Zag's blog. Every single time I talk about Indiana, I talk about their strength and conditioning. One of their main things is they can get me stronger, and that's one of the things I think will benefit my game a lot. So there's that. Indiana's likely a long shot in the 6'7's recruitment, so we'll see how that goes. St. Louis-based point guard Caleb Love indicated to 247 Sports that a list cut is coming as well. Love, the number 25 player in the class of 2020, in the 247 Sports composite rankings, said he would cut his list to no higher than 6 or 7 when he narrows it down in the coming weeks. Indiana isn't probably going to survive that cut list, I don't think. It isn't clear how serious IU is about point guard Lynn Greer, but the Hoosiers have been regularly reported as in contact with the Philadelphia product. We should find out soon enough. Greer told Rivals that a list cut down to 5 is forthcoming. So a lot of this stuff's about to happen. The summer season, the basketball season is come to a close for these guys, although they have other things to do. You've got the USA Basketball Top 100 coming up. I think Christian Lander and Caleb First were invited to that. So that'll be interesting to see how that plays out. See if they can make the USA team. That would be kind of cool. Would it not? But it's just now's the coaches have to go back and all the work that they've done into watching these players and scouting and following them. And now they got to lock down visits. And it's like dating. It's like these coaches are having to date these guys. You have to court them and you buy them dinner and do all this craziness. It's something now. But a lot of list cuts that are going to be coming out. And it really cracks me up when a guy comes out and cuts his list to 10. What the hell? Well, what's the point of that? I'm cutting my list to 11. Well, big deal. Just do it once and be done with it. But I don't get off my lawn time, I guess. I just don't. I'm not a fan of all that stuff. I'm just more of a plain. Hey, let's talk about what it is. Bam, make it easy to understand. Don't drag this stuff out. If you're not ready to make a decision, boom. Not ready to make a decision, let it go. Set a date. Set a date. That's the best thing to do. Set a date. Just set a date. Say, hey, I'm gonna make my decision then. Man, I know they all get into the list cuts because it gets them more attention. We'll see. We'll see. It's just that silly time when the courting goes crazy. But then, like I said, you've heard me talk about a couple of these guys where, say, a Duke gets involved at the last second, and that makes a lot of difference. You can hate them if you want, but they have the ability to do that because they win. If you don't like them, you got to beat them. But Duke can only take so many players. How does someone like Kansas? Now we've seen, and I'm talking about the deal with the fact that they got NCAA issues. But we've seen schools like LSU have serious NCAA issues, and that it did not stop a top prospect from committing there. So will Kansas face any of that? It'll be interesting to see how. I don't think that it will. I don't think, if a guy's only planning on being someplace for a year, you're not going to care. Not going to care. It'll be interesting to see how it does, if it does affect Kansas in any way. Because a lot of these guys are not necessarily one and dones that they're recruiting. I would be a little surprised if there's not some effect there. Time will certainly tell. As more comes out from the NCAA in regards to the FBI corruption trial, like we saw last week with NC State, there are many other schools that are waiting for that hammer to drop, waiting for that letter to arrive. I mean, Arizona already got it, but you've got, USC, Oklahoma State, trying to think of all the Auburn, trying to think of all these different Louisville. It's going to be, and a lot of these schools, Louisville's another one, they're receiving kind of semi-rave reviews on recruiting and where they're going to be next year. It's going to be interesting to see how that changes. Because the sheriff's coming. He just isn't there yet. That letter's coming. There's no doubt. And the school that's going to get hit worst of anybody That's Louisville. No doubt. They were already on double secret probation when they got nabbed for the latest incident involving the FBI corruption trial. They were on probation. Big time. They were on probation for major violations. It's going to be extraordinarily interesting to see what the NCAA does with that situation. They're not going to get the death penalty, so I'm not worried about that. Or not. I'm not worried either way. I'm just saying it's not going to be the death penalty, but we'll certainly find out. Hey, we got a lot coming up on the program today. Hopefully we'll be talking with John Sauber. Definitely going to talk to Coach Dusty May, former Hoosier, now the head coach of Florida Atlantic. Mike Schumann from the Daily Hoosier is going to join us as well. We're going to talk about there's a lot of basketball action over the weekend. That stuff's finally put to bed. We'll get to talk to both Dusty and Mike about that, and John if we can get him as well. But where they go now? What the coaches have to do now? It'd be great to talk to Dusty to get that perspective on what do they do now? Sit around and wait. Hurry up and wait. A lot of kids wait. A lot of coaches waiting for these kids to decide if they're going to make the cut. It's kind of funny. It's kind of the shoes on the other foot. Usually it's the coaches holding the cards and the kids waiting to see if they made the cut. Well, right now it's a lot of coaches waiting to see if they make the cut. Interesting. We'll certainly find out. Hey, we got a lot more coming up here from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle back with more right after this. Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the Golf Club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lord, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day, or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
All across the country, people are coming together to speed up what we can learn about health. The All of Us Research Program is calling on 1 million people to join us as we try to change the future of health. For your family, for future generations, for all of us. Visit joinallofus.org and find out how you can become 1 in a million.
All right, crew, let's get her dug.
Honey, want to give me a hand? I'm planting that tree, remember?
No matter how large or small your digging project may be, no matter how urban or rural, you must always call 811 before any digging project. 811 is our national one-call number, alerting your local utility companies to come out and mark any lines they have near your dig site. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 business days before any digging project, so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. This includes natural gas and petroleum pipelines, electric, communication cables, and water and sewer lines. So before you do this or this, make sure you do this. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811. Brought to you by Common Ground Alliance.
This is former Indiana basketball player Greg Graham. Keep up with the Hoosiers on Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle.
This hour is brought to you by Sweetland Waste and Removal Service, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995.
Well, we're coming to your city. Gonna play our guitars and sing you a country song. We'll all be flying higher than a jetliner. And if you want a little bang in your yin-yang, come along.
Well, come on along and welcome aboard Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle. Thanks a lot for taking us along wherever you're going, wherever you may be headed. We appreciate you taking Indiana Sports Beat along for the ride. Of course, coming to you from the golf club at Eagle Point Studios. Jim Coyle with you as always. Thanks a lot for joining us. Jake at the wheel, keeping us on the track. Hope you had a great weekend. A lot of basketball, a lot of everything. Wimbledon, NASCAR, all kinds of stuff to get to. On the program today, former manager at IU under Bob Knight and now head coach of Florida Atlantic, Dusty May, is going to join us. We'll also talk with Mike Schumann from the Daily Hoosier, get caught up on everything that went on over the weekend. And our friend John Sauber from thehoosier.com, who was down at the Adidas Gauntlet, will join us as well, get you caught up on all the things that happened there. I don't know if you saw the Wimbledon finish over the weekend. Wow, one of the greatest finishes, if not the greatest finish in Wimbledon history. The first time the fifth set tiebreaker was invoked. They just changed the rule this year. It was different, but longest lasting match, that was pretty incredible. Just happened to catch that entire portion of that. It was a pretty daggone good tennis. In NASCAR, another great finish as well. The Busch brothers banging and clashing to a finish at Kentucky Speedway. It was crazy. A great finish. Tim texted in that he saw Kyle Schwarber hit his 19th home run this weekend to help the Cubs beat Pittsburgh as Schwarbs keeps swatting. So that's a good deal for him. Looking forward to that. The AAU sessions have come to a close. Now a lot of hurry up and waiting by coaches, a lot of list cutting coming up. Who's going to go where, who's going to get visits, and all that good stuff. So plenty to talk about in that regard. And as promised, John Sauber from thehoosiers.com. John, how are you, man? Did you make it back safe?
Oh, yes, I did. It was quite the trip back from Birmingham.
Oh, yeah. So anything out of the ordinary?
No, just your usual 8-hour Sunday drive. It's a lot of nothingness on that drive. So, you get to stare at a lot of trees and a lot of empty roads on the way back.
Oh, yeah. That's nothing funner than just driving for 8 hours on a Sunday and getting back to Monday work, huh?
Oh, yeah, exactly.
But a lot going on, man. A lot of coaches down there. I saw an unbelievable amount of former IU guys in different capacities. Of course, you had Dane Fife there. You had A.J. Guyton was there. I saw Damon Bailey, Michael Lewis, Dusty May, of course, but all kinds of Jamal Meeks. I'm trying to not miss anybody, but a ton of former IU connections guys that have nothing to do with IU anymore.
Yeah, there's, anytime you get a big event like that, you're going to draw guys from everywhere. And with basketball being as popular as it is in Indiana and, that Indiana elite team down there, you're going to draw a lot of attention down there, especially when those guys, have a history with the state of Indiana and can come into the state and try and recruit those guys.
Yeah, and, I've seen a lot of offers come from Stanford. to Indiana guys as well. So it seems like Stanford is really trying to get a footprint into here. Of course, everybody does. Like you said, Indiana produces a crazy amount of talent, and it's why you always see teams like Duke or Kentucky or Michigan State, Louisville, whomever, all looking to get players out of here because there's just a lot of talent.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of talent in the state, and even in a down year like 2020, which it's not the best class that Indiana's seen in the last couple of years, but there's still enough talent that schools want to try and get in here, try and get a little bit of a foothold, maybe try and build a few relationships, so then down the road when the classes start to improve, they can go back to, hey, we pulled such and such from 2020, we can do it again in a later class. So
who stood out to you over the weekend?
Yeah, so the first guy is someone that I've been a little critical of in the past, and that's Trey Galloway. Obviously I use, one of the top targets right now from Culver Academies in Indiana, and he plays for Indiana Elite. And they made it to the quarterfinals this weekend before they lost to the Atlanta Celtics down there. But he's someone that I've been critical of because he hasn't shot well. And this weekend he went out and shot about 38% from three. And a lot of those shots, they weren't just regular, catch and shoot threes. They were pull-ups from deep, shots that, they're really genuinely difficult shots off the dribble. And he would just cross half court and fire, and he was hitting them. I remember there was one game where he hit two of those in like the first four possessions. And I was like, okay, this is clearly, somebody's heard some criticism lately and they know, what they need to work on. But he was really impressive, and he was impressive on the defensive end like he always is. But that's a guy that, if he continues to work on that shot and he continues to get better, there's a chance he can make an all Big Ten team down the line.
Yeah, exactly. He's one of the many Indiana talents that was down there that Indiana's looking at. Of course, Trey Galloway is mentioned by John, but you've also got Anthony Leo, Christian Lander. Christian Lander and Caleb First, I saw, were invited to the USA Basketball Top 100, both playing over the weekend as well. What did you see from those guys?
Yeah, so First was down at in Peach Jam, so unfortunately I didn't get to watch him. But Lander was, he was everything you want him to be out of the top kid in the class in the 2021 class. He incredible stop and start ability. You don't see many players who can have the ball in their hands, come to a complete stop at the free throw line, and all of a sudden be at the rim. And all of a sudden the defense is left a little bit clueless. And he needs to work on his right hand finishing because he's left-handed. But with his left hand, he's fantastic. And his shot is definitely there right now. He's got a little bit of a low release, but it's quick, and he's consistent with it. So it falls enough. It was falling at about a 36% clip this weekend, which was good to see. He shot 90% from the free throw line, but he can score at all three levels. He's very quick defensively. Tends to make pretty good reads, although he can occasionally jump out of passing lanes and make some reads that he shouldn't, try and intercept a pass and get down floor. But that happens. He's a young kid. He's only going to be a junior in high school this year. But I'm always impressed when I watch him, and he impressed once again this weekend. And I have a lot of faith in him being a high level Division I high major prospect when he enters college.
John, a lot of things now after this weekend. A lot of coaches, the recruiting kind of changes a little bit. Some coaches or schools may get involved in players they hadn't been involved with. Say when a Duke comes in, they carries a lot of weight. But now the big story is everybody wants to get the visits. And who are some of the guys that it seems like Indiana is going to get a visit from? And who are some that maybe that looks like it's going to go the other way?
Yeah, so it's still a little early for some of these guys. There a lot of guys will go home after this, especially with Adidas. So they have another event left to play still, the Adidas finale here in late July. Although coaches can't attend that, so there won't be any college coaches in attendance there. But a lot of these guys, they're now, it's time for them now to go home and sort of make those decisions. I wouldn't be surprised to see Anthony Leal on campus again. He's from Bloomington. It's right across the street. He doesn't have anything planned there, but when a kid's that close, he can basically make a stopover whenever once the dead period's over. So that's a guy that I wouldn't be surprised to see him on campus. And then you have guys like, Jalen Bridges and Zach Loveday from Wildcat Select who don't have those kind of visits planned. Indiana is an option for them, but you don't really know for sure if they're going to set one of those visits yet. I wouldn't be surprised if they did, but they've both got so many offers, and that they've got to figure out what 5 schools that they want to get to on officials. And so they've got to take some time and sit down the next few weeks. I know Zach Loveday, friend, told me a few weeks ago that he plans to have that list narrowed down by the end of summer, and he wants to get those visits done by September or October. Indiana's definitely in play there. It's a closer school for him. He's a Midwest kid. I wouldn't be surprised to see him pop up on campus at some point. But you just never know with recruiting. These guys can, think about visiting a school one day, and unless they have it set, it's hard to say, if they're for sure going to be able to get there. But Leo's the guy because he's so close, and Trey Galloway because the interest is so high between both parties that I wouldn't be surprised to see those guys pop up on campus really at any point, in the future. The distance is going to play a factor for Leo, and really with Galloway, it's all that interest for both.
And obviously, these players have different schedules for their time of commitments and visits and doing all that stuff. But coming for the coming class, I know R.J. Davis is another one that has mentioned a potential visitor to IU from Stepanek, New York. Someone Archie Miller has really made a priority.
Yeah, he's been one of my favorite guys to watch. Every time I went to see him on the EYBL with the Nike circuit, he was fantastic. He can really light it up from all three levels. He shoots it really well from deep, and he reminds me a little bit of a longer version of Melo Trimble back when Melo was a freshman at Maryland. He can frustrate opponents because he's very good at drawing fouls. He's one of those guys that he draws a little bit of contact. You see his head bob back because he's trying to get that call from the ref. But he's very, very good at it, and he gets to the line a ton. He's another guy that, he likes Indiana. He hasn't been to campus yet. You got to see if you can get him there. But if you can get him there, then you've got a chance just like any other school. He's already been to Marquette. He's already been to Georgetown. So he's taken a couple visits in the last in the last month. But if Indiana can get him on campus, that's a guy that can make a major impact at a program like that, and especially with his ability to stretch the floor. There's not a lot of guys that can shoot it like he can, and he shot the lights out every single time I saw him play. And he's been impressive every single time. He's a little bit undersized, but I'm not too worried about that at the college level because that shooting ability is so prolific.
In the 2020 class, IU targets, whose game really picked up over the weekend and probably saw their recruitment pick up? Who's somebody that you can say that, oh man, that guy's recruitment's really going to start to blossom?
Yeah, so Jalen Bridges from Wildcat Select is someone that I saw back in April. I believe it was the 12th to the 14th weekend, somewhere around there, when he was up at Warren Central in Indianapolis, and I saw him and I thought, man, this kid, he's not got a lot of offers. He was a 3-star kid in the 2019 class at the time. Ended up reclassifying to 2020, doing a post-grad year at Scotland campus in Pennsylvania, and then he had a chance to go out this weekend and prove himself. And he did it again. He was the same level of player that I saw back then. He didn't shoot it as well as he usually does from deep, but I'm not too worried about that. The shot is there. He did so well in every other event that sometimes you just have a bad weekend, and that's what happened to him from beyond the arc. But he shoots it really well. He defends at a very high level on and off the ball. And now he's sort of developing this ability to get to the rim and to attack and to finish around the rim that I didn't see back then. And now if he can start to add that to his game, then the ceiling raises even more. You're talking about a kid that can defend as well as anyone in the country, probably across 4 positions, I would say. And he's mentioned to me before that he takes pride in that ability to defend that many positions. But you've got that level of defense, and then you've got on offense, you've got a kid that's a willing passer. He moves decently well off the ball. That can improve, but that can improve with almost every high school kid in the country. He can shoot it well. He can attack the rim well. He finishes really well too. He had a couple of dunks that had the crowd going wild there a few times on putbacks, on drives of his own. He's an aggressive kid when he's attacking the rim, and he does a really, really good job of finishing through contact. And I just think he's got a ton of upside, and I wouldn't be surprised to see some schools start pouring in for him.
The fans are, of course, they want information now, man. They want to know who's committing and who's going where and all this stuff. But these players, even though the bulk of the AAU's sessions are done, you mentioned the Adidas has another big event, but the most of that stuff's gone. But we have the top 100 in USA basketball. They've still got other stuff to do this summer, so they've got a busy schedule yet. So there's not going to be, I don't think it's going to be a commitment anytime soon from anyone.
Yeah, it's always tough to say, when you get the high level kids, like you mentioned, going to those camps, they really have no free time. I was talking to someone close to Zach Loveday this weekend, and he's got that event here in 2 weeks, and then 2 weeks after that, he starts practice again at Huntington Prep. So there is legitimately no stopping for him. He has no real time off. It's tough for him to squeeze visits in. But the kids always seem to find time, but that always makes it tough, to get those visits in to see what you really want in a school. And like you said, I wouldn't be surprised if we didn't have a commitment for a little bit. Although, someone like Galloway is, he's not going to be participating in as many of those big camps. He'll have a little bit more free time. He's the kid that I'm watching, that he could make a decision soon. Of course, Matt Cross from BAC, who is going to play for Brewster Academy this year. He's another guy that I'm watching that wants to decide in August. But again, you never know. These decisions can be so difficult sometimes. Maybe he decides he wants to make a second trip to the schools that he's thinking about, and then he has to go back and schedule those visits, and then it's a little more difficult for him to make that decision. So, like you said, I wouldn't be surprised if there weren't any decisions anytime soon. But there's a couple guys there that that could be in a position to make a decision. But then again, I wouldn't be surprised if Galloway dragged it out to November. He's a very well thought out kid who takes his time with these sort of things and doesn't want to jump on a wrong decision. And with Cross, he wants to make that decision in August, like I said. But you just never know. Sometimes life gets in the way of those things, and it can push it back further than you want it to.
Yeah, John, you mentioned Matt Cross is someone to, I think, and why predictions are pointless, to be honest with you, but I make them anyway just to give people something to talk about. I think Matt Cross may be the best chance for Indiana to land somebody outside of the border, definitely first. He could be the first commitment. He could commit before any of these Indiana kids, which would be a little unusual for Archie to get that accomplished. But he definitely, like you said, he's wanting to get that stuff. He's wanting to get it out of the way. He doesn't want to deal with it. He wants to focus on his season, it seems. But he seems to me, from everything I've seen, read, and watched, is that he may be the best potential at IU landing a commitment from someone outside the borders at this time.
Yeah, that, like I said, that's the guy you want to watch if you're an Indiana fan right now. He's very good at scoring at all three levels. Big, strong kid, defends decently well. Can probably defend threes and fours at the next level. He can score off the dribble a little bit. He was on a BABC team that isn't as good as those BABC teams usually are on the EYBL circuit with Nike. But he fought through it. He played hard regardless. But yeah, he could be close. Like I said, he wants to make that decision in August, but you never know sometimes. But Indiana is squarely in the mix there with South Carolina and Miami, schools he took official visits to. I wouldn't be surprised to see him end up at any of the three schools. I don't think anyone who's making a prediction there right now is being intellectually honest right now. I don't think anyone has that good of an idea of where he's going to land at right now. They keep things close to the vest. They want to sit down, make a decision as a family, make sure Matt ends up somewhere where he's happy and somewhere where he can succeed and get what he wants out of a college.
Did you hear much talk from the coaches, which I know you didn't get to spend a lot of time with them, but in regards to the reduced time that they get to see these players this year? Was there much talk about that this weekend?
Yeah, it wasn't even just coaches that were complaining. It's coaches, it's media members, it's everyone involved, because you're looking at, this is the last chance to see these guys, because that scholastic period that's created from the 23rd to the 28th, most of the top players in the country aren't going to be participating. They've already told us, they're not playing in it. So it's almost a waste of time for guys who want to recruit those guys. So yeah, it's definitely difficult. I mean, this is my first time through the shoe circuit schedule, and it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Some of the events, some of the timing, especially limiting it to one session in April when you can watch these guys. But, it is what it is. You sort of have to adapt unless the NCAA plans on changing things. And I'm sure coaches will adapt. But yeah, this being the last period to watch these guys is not great. And it's definitely not great to have, this big event toward the end of the month where the best guys in the country just aren't participating and they have no intention of participating.
Yeah, we can thank Condoleezza Rice, that bastion of college basketball information, for that decision. Crazy.
Yeah, it's tough to have someone not involved in college basketball making that decision. Anyone outside of the world of college basketball and recruiting shouldn't have a hand in that. I could go on for a while about that, but I don't understand the idea of not having people that are, have been through the schedule and been through those issues making those decisions.
That's par for the course for the NCAA. Muppet Mark Emmert and the NCAA making yet another great decision. But John, thank you so much, brother. I cannot thank you enough. I'm sure I'll see you Thursday in Chicago. Are you going up for the Big Ten Media Days?
Yes, you will. I'll be up there, and I'm looking forward to seeing you, Jim.
All right, brother. Thank you so much, John. I'm glad you're back safely. Look forward to it again. Thanks, brother. Have a great day. From the Hoosier.com, John Sauber.
Thanks, Jim. You have a good one.
Appreciate John joining us as well. Hey, coming up next, we got a lot more. Mike Schumann from the Daily Hoosier is going to be with us next, and Dusty May, coach of Florida Atlantic, former Hoosier. After that, stay tuned. Indiana Sports Beat coming back with more from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios right after this. Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the Golf Club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lord, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day, or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
All across the country, people are coming together to speed up what we can learn about health. The All of Us Research Program is calling on 1 million people to join us as we try to change the future of health. For your family, for future generations, for all of us. Visit joinallofus.org and find out how you can become one in a million.
All right, crew, let's get her dug.
Honey, want to give me a hand? I'm planting that tree, remember?
No matter how large or small your digging project may be, no matter how urban or rural, you must always call 811 before any digging project. 811 is our national one-call number, alerting your local utility companies to come out and mark any lines they have near your dig site. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 business days before any digging project, so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. This includes natural gas and petroleum pipelines, electric, communication cables, and water and sewer lines. So before you do this or this, make sure you do this. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811. Brought to you by Common Ground Alliance.
This is former Indiana basketball player Brian Evans, and you're listening to Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle.
Today's guest is brought to you by Reynolds Family Dentistry of Sellersburg. You need $1 million smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you'll get with Reynolds Family Dentistry. Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle here on this Monday, coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Hope you guys had a great weekend. We're about to jazz it up a little bit. We're very, very fortunate and honored to have Dusty May on, head coach of Florida Atlantic, former Hoosier. Dusty, how are you, man?
Doing great. How about yourself?
Great, Coach. I know it was a busy weekend for you guys, man.
It was. We were ripping and running. Luckily for us, the gym locations and the tournaments were all close together, so we could hit a lot of different places without getting on a plane.
It looked like a great reunion going on down there.
Yeah, it's always great to catch up with those guys. You're really happy for Mike to make that jump out west to UCLA, something completely different. And I think these experiences, when you're able to change the locations and geographically and who you work for, and I know Coach Cronin has a great style of play that's completely different than anything he's ever worked for. It'd be a great learning experience for Mike, and then obviously AJ. I rebounded a lot of balls for AJ over the years, and Dane as well. Just happy to see those guys and proud of their success. They're great coaches.
Yeah, it's not amazing to me, but you kind of forget about it. But, man, in seeing those pictures, you realize there is still just a ton of IU guys out there on that coaching tree that are spread all over the place.
There are, and it's just a testament to the foundation that Coach Knight laid with basketball and how you operate and preparation and work ethic and all the intangibles. For everyone around the program, just myself. I was there 4 years, and Mike Schrage was with me a couple of years, and he's the head coach now at Elon. He was a manager with me, and then Joe Pasternak's also the head coach at Cal Santa Barbara, a great mid-major program out west. So, there's so many people outside of just the players and managers and trainers and everyone associated with the program. You learn so much that you can be successful in almost any walk of life.
Yeah, you think about a lot of times former players becoming coaches, and of course it's not that you don't see it happening with former managers, because actually the manager seems like they're actually in a better spot to absorb more learning in those instances of those 4 years that you spent at a college.
It was eye-opening for me because you go there, and I was actually 19. I'd played a year at Oakland City, so I'd had a little bit of a buffer between high school and IU. But you go there, and it's basically a decision where the coaches say, do you want to be a coach or do you want to be a player student? And there's that line where even socially, I didn't really want to socialize with the players off the court. I kind of wanted to help them, work with them, and be more of a young coach as opposed to their friend or someone like that. So it was a really unique deal where, and then even that time, the game has changed. The business has changed so much where there weren't GAs, there weren't director of operations per se, there weren't all these video coordinators. So the manager role, your first year you do prototypical manager jobs, and then you move up where you're doing video, you're doing scouting, you're doing travel, you're doing, I'm going to high school games with Coach with Pat Knight and Mike Davis and Treelor and those guys. So it's just changed where because of that we were prepared for the next step, I think.
And as a manager, like I said, there's a lot of learning. You get a lot of responsibilities. How is it difficult being a manager to come up to go through the coaching ranks? Or is there any difference at all?
I don't know. All I know is from my perspective, and it was. I looked at it as a benefit. I was able to get into coaching and start preparing and doing the work 4 years earlier than a lot of guys would, and even former players, they go play professionally, so they just get such a late start to their coaching career. And a lot of it is just breaks and who you know and who really respects the work you do and your skill set. So it just gives you a little bit of a head start, but obviously you're at a disadvantage because you didn't play the game at a high level.
And now you're down at FAU, a very great weather, by the way. Smart choice. It's better than being at Minnesota.
No doubt. Yeah. But I pinch myself.
Hey, I'm telling you, man. But you go to these events now, and the NCAA has reduced them so drastically. How difficult has that made it, or has it made it much more difficult in recruiting when you have to navigate those?
According to our spouses, the NCAA hasn't reduced anything. They've actually given us more days. It's spread out differently. And now that we're into June with the high school stuff, it just typically June, you're not traveling. So, but I really like the high school team camp stuff in June. I enjoyed this past weekend. I feel like we got a lot done and really evaluated a lot of guys. I wish we had one more weekend, even just a Friday to Sunday with the AU stuff. And I think we'd solve a lot of issues, but they're working in the right direction. And as a business, it seems like we coaches, we tend to just find something to complain about. But I think there's been some benefits. Like I said, I really enjoyed going out in June and seeing these guys play with their high school teams. I wish we could have done it in more states, but I know I went to Indiana and Chicago, 2 regions that if Florida had something going on, I wouldn't have been able to go up and see a different brand of basketball and different players. But I thought that was great for the valuation standpoint. And then obviously July, we see a lot of kids in a completely different environment.
Obviously, Coach Knight has a big effect on your career, your coaching. Who are some of the other coaches that people may not know about that you've also worked under that learned from?
Mike White is somebody that I credit, obviously just working for him, I was able to get this job coming from Florida and his family. Our AD here is his brother, who was our associate AD at Louisiana Tech, coincidentally. So that family has done a lot for me personally. There's so many. Mike Davis was great to me. He gave me a huge opportunity and gave me a lot of responsibility. And I learned so much from him. Kerry Rupp at Louisiana Tech. Billy Kennedy, who just was at Texas A&M last year. I worked for him at Murray State. So there's so many. And then to be honest, as much as those guys, the assistants you work with, you're in the trenches with 3 or 4 guys, 15 hours a day, 300 days a year. So you learn a lot from the guys you work with and then also the players you're around. So it's a neat deal where you spend so much time with so many knowledgeable coaches that if you want to learn, you can pick something up almost daily.
I'm not sure that everybody, all the fans understand it, especially when you're coming up. Coaching may be one of the most difficult professions in all of professions to deal with from a time standpoint. I mean, give an example of when you're really giving how much time out of a day it really takes. Not necessarily now, because even now it's crazy, but at the worst when it was 19 hours a day.
Well, when you're trying to cut your teeth and develop a relationship, you want as much responsibility. My first year in coaching, I asked Coach Bibby, Henry Bibby at USC, who was a great mentor to me and someone I learned a lot for as well, who I forgot to mention. I just asked him for as much responsibility as he would give me, and that entailed running camps and doing travel and doing all the video. So you just want as much responsibility, because I just feel like if you're doing it, you're learning. Whereas if you're just watching or observing or somebody else is doing it, you're not really learning it where you know it well enough to teach it or whatnot. But it's a labor of love. We're in the gym with our guys all the time during the season. They come through, watch film. They pass through the office just to talk. So we're mentors and father figures to 13 guys. And you're planning practices, you're planning calendars, your recruiting is so time consuming now, because it seems like each prospect has 3 or 4 different people there that are in their ear. So there's just so much time that goes into it, but it's definitely not complaining about it. It's something we chose, and 99% of it is a lot of fun.
Let's get some Florida Atlantic fans going for you. Talk about your team, your season coming up. What can the fans look forward to?
We have a young, exciting team. Last year we started out, I think we're 8-2, and our best player, who was averaging 20 points and 8 rebounds a game, tore his ACL. And then we just got hit with the injury bug. We actually were without 3 starters majority of the year and still found a way to get a couple big wins. We beat UCF. We won at Illinois in the Big Ten. So we still had a good year. We finished over 500, which I think is maybe the second time in the last 12 years here. There's not much tradition here. It's a new school, but they've really invested in athletics the last couple of years, and they want to win. And, I kind of tell people we're a lot like UCF was 10 years ago, where there's a lot of room for growth, and we're going in that direction. But we have a very talented roster. We'll be a little bit young. We'll have 8 freshmen and sophomores, but from a talent standpoint, we'll be able to compete with anyone in our league and be in every game. But we play fast. We shoot a lot of threes. We have a lot of 6'6", 6'7" guys that can drive it, can shoot it, and also are versatile defenders. So we wanted to put a product on the floor that's fun to watch, and we feel like if you really compete and lay it on the line and play with energy and passion and unselfishly, then you'll do that. And our crowds were great. Our student involvement's gotten better. So we started from ground zero and really feel like we're trending upward with the talent level in our program and just the overall atmosphere and culture.
You know, one of the great things about college is there's always great stories. Todd Leary's on with us each Friday. I was in school when Todd was in school. I went to Floyd Central, where Pat Graham's from. Lots of great stories. Some we can tell, some we can't. What's a great story that you can tell?
There's too many stories to tell. You rack my brain with that one, but just bringing up Todd's name. Todd and I became good friends my second time around at IU, and I think the world of him and all those guys. It's the relationships. I mean, when you bring up someone's name, Todd, for example, or seeing those guys this weekend, that those are the most fond memories and the things that are the most meaningful. Just the experiences you have with all those different people and how much time, effort, and work you put in just to try to achieve a common goal.
Coach, I cannot thank you for your generosity of your time. I wish you and the FAU the best of luck. We're going to make sure some folks follow you. We'll be following you and keeping track of you, man. I hope you do well and have a great season.
I appreciate it, and go Hoosiers.
Thank you, sir. Coach Dusty May, former Hoosier and now the head coach at Florida Atlantic. So make sure you follow the Florida Atlantic, man, just to give him a little love. But we appreciate Coach Dusty May on the program today. We got a lot more coming up here from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Mike Schumann from the Daily Hoosiers with us next. Stay tuned. Back right after this. Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the Golf Club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lord, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day, or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
All across the country, people are coming together to speed up what we can learn about health. The All of Us Research Program is calling on 1 million people to join us as we try to change the future of health. For your family, for future generations, for all of us. Visit joinallofus.org and find out how you can become one in a million.
All right, crew, let's get her dug.
Honey, want to give me a hand? I'm planting that tree, remember?
No matter how large or small your digging project may be, no matter how urban or rural, you must always call 811 before any digging project. 811 is our national one-call number, alerting your local utility companies to come out and mark any lines they have near your dig site. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 business days before any digging project, so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. This includes natural gas and petroleum pipelines, electric, communication cables, and water and sewer lines. So before you do this or this, make sure you do this. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811. Brought to you by Common Ground Alliance.
Hi, this is AJ Moye, and you're listening to Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle.
Today's guest is brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, with hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer. Pizza, burgers, beer. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Welcome back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, Indiana Sports Beat. We're rocking it in there a little bit. The Doors. Love it. Joining us now, our good friend Mike Schumann from the Daily Hoosier. Michael, how's it going, man?
Doing great. How are you doing, Jim?
Great. It was an action-packed weekend, a great day today. Just got off with Dusty May, former Hoosier, now the head coach at Florida Atlantic. So a big Monday.
Awesome, man. Yeah, I am looking forward to listening to that segment. I know he did a lot of work under Coach Knight, so I'm guessing he had some thoughts on the whole move back to Bloomington, right?
I didn't even bring it up.
Well, there's my opportunity to talk to him next.
Yeah, there you go. Because I actually did mean to ask him about that, but you get so much time, and I'm like going, "Hey, I got Mike Schumann waiting. I can't." No,
you can't keep me waiting.
No, but talk more about what he's doing now, but which is pretty cool. It's always cool to see that, but it amazes me and I've talked about that on the show today. But everybody saw the pictures from over the weekend with AJ Guyton and Michael Lewis and Dane Fife and Dusty May and Damon Bailey, Jamal Meeks. I'm like, golly, all those guys from that same era right there, and Lord knows who else was there that I didn't see, but it's just great to see that out there.
Yeah, it's kind of the untold story of all these recruiting events. Is a lot of people that had really tight bonds years and years ago get to reunite at least once a year. So it is really neat to see those kind of pictures come out.
Well, a big weekend for all the kids they're wanting coaches to see them, that they're looking to move on to college. The AAU circuit coming to almost to a complete head. It's not quite done yet, but all as far as coaches being there, it is. A lot went on this weekend. Some guys had great weekends, some didn't. But what was your takeaway from the weekend?
Yeah, just a lot of activity and a lot of commentary from guys that IU is pursuing. You take a guy like DJ Stewart out of Chicago that it's interesting. It shows how dynamic recruiting is even over the course of a weekend. And he had some quotes coming like in the latter part of the week last week, talking about his plans, as with most recruits, pretty cryptic with what he's going to do. But it was pretty clear that Indiana was somewhere that he was highly likely to visit. But since then, he's had an offer from Duke. And then even today, I've seen, communications with North Carolina and Kentucky. And so, that's just how fluid recruiting is. And that's, the position that Indiana's in right now. you kind of almost cringe a little bit when you see the other guys come in like that, because Indiana's just not in a position where they can kind of dictate the direction of recruitments right now. So that was one that stood out to me, that had a lot of activity going on over the course of the weekend. We put out a summary of 8 different guys that had different commentary on either their specifics about Indiana or their plans for next steps, cutting lists, visits, things like that. You mentioned AAU's kind of winding down, and that's right. And so the next obvious step in the recruitment cycle is guys can get a little bit more focused on what they're going to do in terms of list cuts and official visits and things like that, at least as it relates to the class of 2020.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm over this list cutting deal. I swear, here's to me, it ought to be. You get one list cut and it's down to 5. Anything other than the 5, I don't want to hear about it, because you can only take 5 visits. So pick your 5 and go with that. I don't want to hear you've cut your list to 10 and all that junk. Dude, just get to it. But that's the get off my lawn part of me.
Yeah, and I hear your point. I mean, if you get much more than 5 or so, it starts to feel a little disingenuous. And sometimes those lists are completely disingenuous, especially if you see, here's my top 12 or my top 10. These guys aren't seriously considering that many schools and actively talking to that many coaches. I mean, you give the kids the benefit of the doubt because they're teenagers and it's an exciting time for them. But at the same token, you do have to take it all with a grain of salt. But, I think we are going to see some serious list cuts here in the next month with guys that are serious about Indiana. I talked in the article about Zach Loveday, who's someone I think, he's a 7-footer out of Ohio that I think IU will end up on a list that he's actually serious about, and will likely get an official visit out of him. Jalen Bridges is another guy that said Indiana recently offered him in the class of 2020, and he indicated that Indiana is somebody that he's likely going to visit here in the coming months. So those are just a couple examples. We went through all of them, but it's certainly going to be a time coming up here where the class of 2020 is going to materialize pretty quickly.
So Indiana's got what, four scholarships for next year?
That's right. They would not have had that many, but with the 2 that went unfilled in 2019, that leaves a pretty big opportunity in 2020 and as Archie talked about that at Huber's in terms of, whether it was spent or not, he seemed enthusiastic about having, 4 scholarships to play with in 2020.
Let me go ahead and settle it for a lot of people. Here, Matt Cross, Trey Galloway, Anthony Leal, I think take 3 of those 4 spots. My personal opinion.
Yeah, I would definitely agree that those are the 3 guys that are the most likely, or at least leaning the most towards Indiana right now. The only thing I would pause with that is, if Galloway or Leal goes first, does that give the other pause? Because they're both kind of 6'5" shooting guards. I think they in my mind, they're both leaning Indiana, but I don't know that they want to be on the same team. Not because they're close friends and they're teammates, and they've been teammates for a long time on the AAU circuit. But do they kind of marginalize each other if they both go to Indiana? That would be the question, at least in my mind. But I agree with your 3 names right there, and I think from the IU perspective, it's reasonable to question, do they back off if they get a commitment from one? Because, in my mind, the ideal class for 2020 is going to be a point guard, a shooting guard, a forward, and a big. And so, that getting the 3 guys you just named is probably not optimal, because I think, you like to keep your classes balanced, and I don't think there would be a lot of balance on there, because even Cross is a 6'7" guy that, gravitates more towards the wing than a power forward, at least at the college level.
I agree exactly. And now the thing for me is, if I'm Trey Galloway per se, I'd say he, and not to diminish his talents, but he probably has the least opportunities of the 3. Why would you not just go be the first guy. Hey, I want my spot and take the spot. I've never understood that. If you really want to go there and it's like, man, if that guy goes there, I'm not going to go there. Well, go there first.
I mean, that's what they're struggling with right now. But, to take a step back for a guy like Galloway, he's been hearing from, the blue bloods as well. He had Kansas watching him this weekend. He's been hearing from them for a couple months now. He's been hearing from other schools like that. So I think, it's this delicate balance of trying to understand what your options are while also not having options taken away from you by somebody jumping the line. That's always the challenge. But if you are Trey Galloway and you are serious about IU, you do need to move before people jump the line. You're right.
Yeah, and I'm not sure that Matt Cross isn't the first one to commit, to be honest with you, because he is made it known that he kind of wants to get it done and have it out of the way.
Yeah, somebody just asked me on social media, like who are the most likely to commit, and I would struggle to say who's going to go first, but I see an August timeline at the latest for Cross and Galloway, maybe even Leal. He seems like he's pushed it back a little bit more, but I think they're all kind of in that, late summer time frame, and I wouldn't be surprised to see July commitments roll in.
The only reason I would not be surprised to see both Galloway and Leal is because the Indiana flavor. I know there has been some, and maybe they don't pay attention to that, but I think that it is important that they get some Indiana players just from an optics standpoint.
Yeah, I mean, obviously that's where the recruiting success has been so far. I'm genuinely confused or puzzled in terms of whether or not for both sides, for both the players and the team, whether or not that's the optimal route to go to have both Leal and Galloway on the roster. I mean, I mentioned roster, or recruiting class balance. The alternative is just to get a couple shooting guards this year, and then in 2021 just go completely away from that. With a guy like Christian Lander, place an emphasis on Caleb First and Trey Kaufman, and just kind of balance your classes that way. They could go either way. The issue is that I think the overall shooting guards, even in state in 2021, are probably a hair better when you start talking about guys like Blake Wesley and Luke Goody. So the good news is there's an unlimited number of options within the state of Indiana, and I don't think you can necessarily go wrong, but it's definitely interesting, and it's definitely kind of the minutia that you get into with recruiting.
Yeah, and I listed those three guys there, Cross, Galloway, and Leal, but there's a fourth opening. Who's the best option or the most likely, you think, to fill that? Now, obviously, that's going to have to be a big of some sort, whether we're talking about a forward, but that's going to have to be one of those 6'8" guys that Archie absolutely loves.
Yeah, it's interesting right now. I mean, maybe Jalen Bridges is a guy that is going to kind of come up late and surprise people and end up at a Big Ten school like Indiana or Ohio State. He had some positive things to say about IU here even today and over the weekend to the recruiting services. So, that's one name. There's, Terrence Clark, I think, is a long shot. He's a top 5 national guy, a clear one and done that looks to be reclassing into the class of 2020. So, and he continues to mention Indiana on his list. But beyond that, I don't see Indiana being really far down the road with anyone other than, I mentioned Zach Loveday. If there's anyone that's a true big, he's a 7-footer, and when's the last time Indiana had a 7-footer on the roster that could actually play? He's probably the one that I think they're furthest along with and most likely to get on campus for an official visit and maybe end up in kind of a final 3 type situation. So if my optimal class that's probably realistic right now might be Loveday, Cross, either Galloway or Leal, and then maybe a point guard like an RJ Davis, who's another guy we haven't mentioned yet, a New York kid whose recruitment, similar to Stewart, is also kind of blowing up right now based on really high level spring and summer AAU play. But he's a guy that's also talking right now about a visit to Indiana. And I'd say for anybody that, Indiana's talking to right now, the visit is the clear signal. If they can get these kids on campus, that indicates from the players' perspective that they're serious and it's not just, talking.
Absolutely. RJ Davis is someone that one of Archie's top targets. He's been on him for a while.
Yeah, he's a guy that, I think the only thing holding his recruitment back, when Indiana got on board a couple months ago is the fact that he's, it's stretching it to say that he's 6 foot tall. He's probably a 5'11" point guard, and he probably only weighs about 160. So, Cliff Marshall could work on him for sure, but he's not a big guy, but he makes up for it by, elite speed and athleticism. The whole key with guys of his size is, can you make space for yourself? And he does it very well. Gets to the foul line an inordinately high amount of time. So he's just a guy that's got a burst and can really generate room for himself to get points. And he scores at a very high level. Not unlike a Yogi Ferrell type point guard that can score and has elite speed. So that's definitely somebody that I think you're right. I think if there's anybody that's kind of the top point guard target right now, beyond another name, Caleb Love, that I think has kind of drifted off the IU radar just because of, another guy that IU was out in front of for a long time. But, Archie seems to do a good job of identifying top talent, but then everybody else catches up with him. And then it's, then you're in the shark-filled waters with everybody else. But Davis might be the one that, if they can get him on campus right now, I think they could really, try to make that happen and close him. That would be the top guy at the point guard position in my mind.
We'll certainly find out. Lots to keep up with, lots more as the world turns, as we'll see as the summer progresses. Mike Schumann from the Daily. I'm telling you, man, it never does. It's always more. We got Big Ten Media Days on Thursday, so for football. So all kinds of stuff, man. It just doesn't stop. Mike, thank you so much, man. Mike Schumann from the Daily Hoosier.
Thank you, Jim. Have a great one. See you Thursday.
You bet. Mike Schumann from the Daily Hoosier joins us. That's going to wrap it up for us today from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, Indiana Sports Beat. A great program. Thanks to Coach Dusty May, to Mike Schumann from the Daily Hoosier, and our friend John Sauber from thehoosier.com. It's been another great one. Stay tuned or tune in tomorrow. We'll be back with plenty more at 9 a.m. Hope you have a great day. For Jake, I'm Jim Coyle, and I will see you on the radio.
Take your man.